Well, hello and welcome to another edition of the E-commerce Evolution podcast. I'm your host, Brett Curry, CEO of OMG Commerce. And today we're talking about conversational commerce. What is it? How to form a strategy, how to execute on that strategy, and really how to make this count as we prepare for holiday, post-holiday, next year, all of these important events. How do we use conversational commerce to form better customer relationships, to increase sales, and to grow the business? And so I am bringing on the show today an expert in this topic, and he's with a company that is really leading the way and innovating in a lot of ways around conversational commerce. I'm talking to Phil Roireau. He's the exec for partnership and business development at Gorgias. And so with that, Phil, man, welcome to the show, and thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brett. I'm pretty excited about helping brands use conversational commerce in order to grow their sales. That's really the bottom line of it.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited to talk about this. This is not one of the areas of e-commerce that I deal with on a day-to-day basis, but it is growing. It's extremely important. And so I know that the topic we're going to talk about today will really help our listeners out. Now, I was first introduced to Gorgias, I believe, a few years ago. I was at Seller Summit. My buddy Steve Chu runs that event. You guys were there. You were maybe speaking there. I know you were exhibiting. I thought the name was cool, so that's I think how I first got introduced. And man, you guys just been blowing up. I'm hearing about you. Like, I'm part of several e-commerce groups on Facebook. People are talking about you. So you guys are you've really made a splash on the e-commerce scene, which I want to applaud you for that.
Thanks for that. Yeah, we came a long way since we first met then 2 years ago at Seller Summit. It was a different level of company back then. But like a lot of things in the Shopify ecosystem, it moves really fast.
Man, that is so true. Everything in this industry moves fast. But yeah, the Shopify ecosystem, it moves about like their stock price has moved, right? It's like 3 years ago, the stock was nothing, and now it's like blow your mind. The type of growth.
And we're September 4th when we're recording this. They're down 10% today. I'm sure they're going to bounce back tomorrow, but I'm not moving fast, like 10%.
Right. So yeah, and who knows, by the time this comes out, who knows what the stock will look like. But it's been a crazy ride over the last several months and crazy growth over the last several years for sure. So let's do this, Phil. Let's dive in and let's just explain, because I think once we break down the components, people will be like, oh yeah, I'm thinking about some of those things, but maybe this idea of conversational commerce, maybe a new concept for people. So first of all, what is conversational commerce?
Yeah, so conversational commerce is really about like helping buyers make their decision through one-on-one real-time interactions. It follows your marketing strategy. So where are you going today to engage with potential buyers? And then it's really about having those communication channels behind those marketing channels open for your clients to get in touch with your team. And at the same time, like, your team needs to be hyper receptive with different type of messaging, depending on where the clients are interacting.
Great. I love that. And so if you think about some of your marketing efforts, some of your advertising efforts, so, we do a lot with YouTube and Google ads and Amazon ads. Some of those efforts, they're one to many, right? We're trying to reach an audience or a group of people or a list of people. And certainly, we want to segment and make those messages as relevant as possible. And we want those messages to feel like it's one-on-one communication almost, but it's not, right? It's advertising. It's not one-on-one. And so conversational commerce, that truly is that one-on-one conversation. So talk about, I know this is kind of a multi-channel endeavor. What are some of the channels where we're engaging with our customers one-on-one?
Right. So, you mentioned like Facebook or Instagram or YouTube. Those are all great channels where you can, where you must have that part of your conversational commerce strategy. So, like, you're generating, you're creating ads that are very engaging, and people start commenting on it. And there's like common theme that are coming back in those comments. How are you engaging there with them? How are you helping your customers on your ads make the decision to purchase your product or replying at scale? And so it's really about, breaking down that one-to-many channel and like bringing it into a one-to-one channel when there is an intent from the customer. So like, you're making an ad, somebody replies, or 100 people replies, so then you need to transform like the messaging that was creating, like the message that was creating from that ad by the customer into a conversation. Like you're doing, let's say, a chat campaign. So somebody is on your website on a specific product, and you're like, hey, I see you're looking at those woman shoes. Like those shoes are great, and usually women go half a size up. Let me know if I can help you making a like choosing the right pair for you. So this message will be sent to 1,000 people potentially on a day on your bestseller page. But then people start interacting with different questions, or but there are team again. So it's really about like being ready at
Yeah.
scale to create those personalized interactions.
I love that. So, and actually, I want to circle back to the interactions on Facebook and Instagram ads in just a second. But to use the example you just gave, so I think we're all seeing this more and more. Even our agency uses chat on the website, to interact with someone as they're there. But I think having that specific example, like you talked about, where if someone is on the women's shoe category on your apparel store, and you could pop in with a message saying, hey, glad you're here shopping around, welcome. Just a heads up, most of the brand or most of the sizes are, they run a half size small or large or whatever the case may be. Let me know if I can be of any assistance. Like having that specific of a feedback, really, I think it helps with engagement and helps people want to talk. And it's kind of, anytime I think conversational commerce, I think retail store or trade show or out in the marketplace, where the seller and the consumer are interacting and they're having a little dialogue, but it's a useful dialogue. And that's one of those things where, you come into a physical brick and mortar store, and the shopkeeper, and that's an old term obviously, but the sales associate or whatever is like, hey, anything I can help you with? No, that's fine. I'm just looking around. But if they see you're looking at something and you say, hey, you're checking that out, great. Just a couple things to keep in mind as you look at it, that probably will spark a question, right? So that specific interaction is really cool. Anything you can share on that, like how to make online chat better? And are you advising people to lead with specific questions like that example you just gave?
Yeah, absolutely. So just to reinforce what you said, like 6 months ago, COVID hits big time. And then like a lot of people get worried, like retail stores get shut down and so on. Retailers go online like as fast as possible. So like so many of our clients, and like we onboarded well over 1,000 clients in the first like 3 months of COVID.
Dude,
Yeah, that was
crazy.
nuts. But so many of those conversations were about like, hey, my retail store is like closing. I need to go online and provide better like we're like, yes, it's all so conversational commerce, like at the core, philosophically what it is, it's about, giving back that like retail-like experience to your online shop. That's really what it is. It's like, as you said, you're walking through the store, hey, welcome. Just if you're wondering, in that section there is a, like in that corner, there's like a sale on the women dresses. And then you're leaving that person alone, right? And then the person walks toward, let's say, that section. It's like, oh, now I see you're in the woman dress. Like, here, this model like could fit you well, but like, let me know if you have any question. Oh yeah, and I have a question, right? And then they're walking to the cashier, and you're like, hey, have you found everything you were looking for today? Like, just that question. And so now let's those three questions, right? You're walking in the store, you're looking at a specific question, section, and then you're checking out. Those are three like key moments in the retail experience. Now bring this online with your chat in your store. Homepage, collection or product page, and cart page.
I love this so much because, and I'll use an offline example. You walk into Walmart, and especially you walk into Walmart like anytime around the time we're recording this, during lockdowns, after lockdowns, it's pure chaos. It's not a bad shopping experience. But usually you see a Walmart associate, they're not like eager to help you, right? They may not make eye contact because they don't want you to stop them and stuff. Like if you ask them a question, they may be like, yeah, the milk is back in the back or whatever.
Yeah.
Versus one of my favorite local shops here where I live in Springfield, Missouri. It's an outdoor home store. So they sell outdoor furniture, but they also sell barbecue grills and like barbecue grill accessories. And you walk in there and they really want to help you, educate you, take care of you. You walk to a certain section of outdoor furniture, they can tell you exactly how that furniture is made and what it does and why it's unique. And they're passionate about outdoor furniture. Or I love to grill, and so I used to call Greg, one of the GM there, like my grilling Yoda, because he was like always teaching me stuff about grilling. But like those people, you know, you interact with that, and that creates a competitive advantage. They're priced higher than most of the other places you could buy, but I still like going there because they help you out. And I think this is a competitive advantage that you can create on your store that other big e-commerce stores or other small e-commerce stores are not going to do. And it greatly enhances the shopping experience, but it also increases AOV, enhances or improves your conversion rate. All of those things it really helps with. So it's super important. So I want to talk about those three areas you mentioned. So homepage chat, category page chat, and then cart or checkout process. Where do you recommend people start, and any specific tips in each of those three areas?
Yeah, so we already started going pretty much like in the tactical stuff.
Yep.
Like, but you, what you just said again, like, and we didn't rehearse this, but what you just said is exactly the mindset that you need to have when you're creating your chat campaigns on your site. And the competitive advantage at the end of the day, like your DTC brand versus Amazon, that's like your mom and pop shop versus Walmart on Main Street. So it's exactly the same thing. So why would people go to you instead of going to Amazon? It's because of like that service, that like awareness, that focus on a specific type of product. But yeah, so now let's go into a little bit more tactical. So a homepage, and just like when you're walking into that like owner operated retail shop, like place yourself in the shoe of that guy. You're the best employee at the shop, and somebody walks in through the front door of your store. What do you tell that person? It's as simple as that. Like, so that sentence that you would tell that person in your retail store, you want to bring this in your chat campaign. So it's really easy, and there's several tools. Obviously, Gorgeous does it, but there's other chat widget that can do it as well. And it's really okay. Homepage, you just put in your URL, you decide to put a certain timer on it, and then you have a specific message for that page, which would be the message that you would tell somebody that walks in your retail store. And if you're the best employee that store has on his best day. So like put those two together, write this message once, and you're going to be sending it automatically to like several thousand people over the next several days, depending on your traffic, obviously. So then move on to the collection page or the product page. So you have like, how many bestsellers do you have on your store? 3, 5? Take those 3 bestsellers and take like what are the main friction for buying this product from you. So we started this episode with the woman shoes, and what's the main friction for purchasing shoes online? It's obviously sizing. So what do you want to do? You want to position yourself as the professional that knows everything about like shoe sizes, and you want to have that objection busting statement in your chat campaign. So you're like, hey, I'm Phil, the shoe consultant for this store, and usually I see the model you're looking at. Like usually women go half a size up or down on that model, but just to reassure them that like if they do this, they're gonna get the right size. And then you're like, let me know if I can help you with anything else, or like if it's something else, like you're selling like leather or full leather or whatever. You're just like, hey, this one is made from cruelty, like leather, cruelty-free leather or something. Like what type of, so what are the main objections for people not purchasing this specific product? And yes, it needs to be in the UI of your page, obviously, but the chat campaign is a great way to create a message that sounds like a human and that will address that on your bestsellers. So it takes 5 seconds to implement and 5 minutes to come up with the creative. Do that times 3 for your best sellers and go put that on your page and see if you can get more engagement.
Yeah.
Because it's good to have the message, but like at the end of the day, the important thing is there's a reason why we're doing this. It's because we have the data that somebody that engages with your brand, like on chat prior to purchasing, is 30% more likely to purchase than someone who doesn't.
Wow.
So you want to create those engagement opportunities as much as possible that are very specific and that will encourage people to talk to you.
Yep. So you start getting a higher and higher percentage of people that engage with you via chat, and each person that does, 30% more likely to convert than those that don't. That's
Yeah.
super powerful. And so then, and I've got another specific question about chat in a minute, but then on the checkout, the cart, that
Yeah.
process, what kind of chat would you have available there?
Yeah. So this on the cart checkout, it's a little bit more tricky. You want to make sure first before you implement that, especially on the checkout page, that you have your first time response under control. So you really need to be able to man your chat in a way that's like fast
Yeah.
enough before you implement on that page, because then it can backfire. If people start asking questions on the checkout page and you're not there, I mean,
Yeah.
they might
Then they'll just
abandon the
abandon.
checkout. But there
Yep.
are services like you can check things like live recover and so on. These guys are in your checkout. They put the widget, and it's like a third-party service, and they will like put the chat in the widget, put the chat widget on the checkout page and man it. And they guarantee you like a less than 10-second reply time and an increase in conversion rate. So there are even like services that are specialized in this type of behavior. But basically, like on the card page, it can be you can have different things. Like if people are too long on the card page and they're not moving on, let's say you put the timer like 15 seconds, then be like, hey, like maybe like did you find everything you were looking for today? By the way, like use free ship for free ship. So it's like this guy is a
Yep.
little bit like he's hesitating right now. Like
Yep.
let's
Yep.
give him like an offer
Nudge
to
him,
moving
nudge him
forward,
along
right?
just a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nudge him on a little bit, not too much. But like I think one of the best sentences is really as simple as "Did you find everything that you were looking for today?" People are so accustomed to hearing that.
Yeah.
And it's so reminding them of their retail experience.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So
awesome. And
that's
so it
simple.
totally makes sense in the cart. You don't want to turn that on unless you're able to create a really fast response time. And
Right.
then you'd mentioned the service, it's kind of sub 10 seconds. I'm curious, what do you recommend? Is that a good benchmark? Should you say, if I can't respond, or if there's not someone that can respond to chat live within 10 seconds, then I shouldn't have it on at all? Or can you just kind of automate what's on other pages? Speak about that just a little bit.
Yeah. So I think then that speaks to the overall structure of your customer service department, though, because like and conversational commerce is really like the third step, and chat is the third step in the roadmap to make
Mm-hmm.
your customer service great. First of all, you need to like optimize and automate as much as possible. So there are tools like Gorgeous obviously is a great one. There's a couple other that can do a decent job at using your CMS, so Shopify, Magento data points, to reply automatically to clients in certain circumstances. So somebody asking you where is my order by email or by chat or whatever the channel is by messenger, you should be able to provide them pretty much in an automated way their tracking number, tracking URL, and when their date shipped out and stuff like that. So where is my order? If it if it shipped, then you can have a specific reply. If it didn't ship, you can have a specific reply. And those you can determine what people are talking about now by machine learning. And that's a setting that takes like 10 seconds to set up. But it just like, if you don't want to bloat your organization, it's kind of the first step is like, you want to make sure that those three top requests that you get all the time, like, where's my order? Can I return or refund this? And you want to make sure that this is like optimized, that part of it is automated. And other than that, that you have like all the account responses that include all the data from your CMS, like ready for your team to fire in one click. Somebody asking you something, boom, 2 clicks, your first response should be like really easy to get. So that will like unclutter a little bit like your email support channel and things like that. And then after that, you can open up the other channels. So social definitely first is the next one after. Once you get control of your emails, you want to make sure that you're monitoring everything that's going on Facebook, on Instagram, and then like you want to open up like most likely a SMS marketing service. So you want to implement some SMS marketing tool like Attentive is a great one, SMS Bump, Postscript, Emotive. All of these tools, you want to pick one and you want to implement it in your business. And You want to be on the receiving end of those messages that are a little bit less time sensitive. But like you're going to implement like an abandoned cart campaign by SMS. Like if people reply and they're like, "Oh, I didn't purchase because of this reason," well, you want to make sure you get that message and that you have somebody to reply to that SMS. So that's the second step of like achieving like great customer service. And the next step, then once you have like automated and opened all your channels, then you go on to your chat.
Got it.
That's
Love
kind
it.
of like the three
Yeah.
steps approach
Cool.
to doing it. Yeah.
It's really good. So we kind of dug deep into step 3 right out of the gate because I was so eager to ask questions about some of those things. So let's kind of back it up a little bit. Let's talk about, some of the social channels and working on that and then going from there. So you mentioned, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, YouTube ads. What's really cool about Facebook and Instagram ads is it is viewed as a conversation for a lot of people, and a lot of people will chime in and leave comments. Some of them are not so pleasant comments,
Yeah.
unfortunately, but at least but at least gives you an opportunity to engage with that customer, that prospect, and and talk about it. I will mention that with YouTube ads, we mainly run the pre-roll YouTube ads called TrueView. There's not a lot of opportunities to comment on those while they're an ad, but certainly you can with organic videos and in other ways on YouTube. But what are some specific recommendations you would give on how to engage in those conversations on social media, and then why and how tools make that easier?
Yeah. Well, great question. There's so much money that is left on the table on social media comments. Because I guess like most of the time it becomes overwhelming really quickly when you scale. So, and this is where you can unlock, if you find the key, you can unlock the most potential. So let's say you're spending like over $1,000 a day on Facebook. You're definitely generating a fair amount of comment. And then if you go beyond that, well, it's exponentially more. But then it's like, how do you stay on top of what is important versus the noise? So like somebody that is trashing your brand or giving you love, like how do you stay on top of these ones versus like having to filter out through all the like just people tagging their friends or having like semi-private conversations and just like that is not really necessary for the brand to get involved in, right? So there's really three topics or three things that are important for the brand to monitor on their social media. First is like, yeah, people giving you love online. So if they're saying, I need this, I want this, I love this is amazing, and tagging their friend, these people are like, I would say they're showing a pretty heavy like purchase intent right there. So you want to make sure that you segregate or that you can isolate this, and we'll get back to how to do it in 1 second. The second block is the people, the detractors. Oh, like, yeah, this ad, it shouldn't be shown, or this product is crap, or I never got my order, and like, fuck this company. Sorry, I didn't say that.
That's okay.
Yeah, so then you want to isolate that as well. And the third one is people asking questions like, oh yeah, but do you ship there? How much is it? Like, do you have XYZ color available? So there's really 3 buckets: positive comments, negative, and questions. And all the rest you want to just like leave aside and not even look at it. So again, what we're doing with the leading brands right now is that we're using machine learning to detect those 3 sentiments. So we have intents and sentiments that work together. And that's, again, a setting that's pretty easy to turn on. It's just like, hey, if it's on social media, Facebook or Instagram, and the sentiment is positive, tag as a social lead for your team to look as a priority. Then if it's negative, tag as a negative. And if the intent is asking a question, then like tag as a social question, and then close automatically all the other comments on your thing. So when like your brands are scaling like, deep, then like they can really keep an eye on what's important without having to shuffle through their Facebook backend. Because I don't know if you ever like look into an account that's scaling and try to like monitor the Facebook. There's no way you can do it from Facebook Ads Manager in the backend. It's like,
Yeah, I could totally see it, and I don't manage Facebook ads, but I could totally see it. You got lots of ad sets going, and you got tens of thousands to spend in per day. It just would become a nightmare. And what's interesting about those 3 categories: someone who's a good sales lead, a detractor, someone just asking a question. is it's possible you may have 3 different team members or 3 different people to respond to those, right? Here's the sales team takes the lead, right?
Yeah.
The technical expert takes the question, and then, whoever's, a ninja at deflecting criticism or
Just
good
clicks
hitting the lead.
hide. The ninja
just,
criticism hide.
this never happened. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that never existed.
So whatever, but it could be 3 different people. It could be the same person, but that's super cool. So, and really, I mean, that's advanced, right? The machine learning is super smart, but like that's relatively easy for a machine learning program to be good at that, and to get comments segmented in those 3 areas, so you can just focus all your attention there. And yeah, what a
Yeah.
beautiful thing to not have to do that in the Facebook
It's a
interface.
blessing, to
Yeah,
be honest. Like
yeah,
anybody that like needs to manage the right now customer service through like Facebook backend, and they're scaling. I mean, they know like they're having an army of VA like doing it.
yep,
It's like, and they're stepping on one another, so it's disorganized. So
yep.
like it's pretty messy out there if you don't use a proper tool for that.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely, love that. And so then, what other? So that's kind of the first step. What was step number 2? You kind of highlighted that a minute ago, but let's dig into that a little bit
Yeah,
deeper.
in the same vein um, as the social media comment, like SMS has been the hottest channel of the last 36 months, like no, maybe 24 months, almost 2 years now, that it became really, really hot. Like it started picking up steam like at the beginning of 2019. So that's really a fantastic channel, because the first thing that you open up is the abandoned cart sequence. That's the easiest. It's plug and play almost for most tools, and then you're starting and you're just like retargeting your abandoned cart by SMS. That's great, and because that channel is so personal, like if you look at the replies that people like send to an SMS, it's they're gonna tell you, unlike any post-purchase survey that you'll ever do, like why they didn't purchase the
Yep,
product. It's
yep,
like they're gonna be like, oh yeah, thanks for the reminder. Like, I didn't buy because like you didn't have the color I was looking for. Or that the product was like out of stock, or something happened, or like I was looking actually for another product, or I didn't get my paycheck this week, or whatever is the reason. They will tell you. So like, and so you don't like, you just go in and you modify a little bit the script that comes out of the box in those SMS tool, and you make it a little bit more personal. You're like, hey, I'm Jay, like the founder of this company. I saw you were on your website. You didn't complete your purchase. Is there anything I can do to help you? Like you do that as your first, instead of like as your first message, instead of your blanket like, here's 10% off on your
yeah,
purchase.
exactly.
And like
Yep.
that will change completely. Like if you do it at scale, you're gonna see a difference.
Yeah, I
So
love that, because what's beautiful about SMS marketing, and you're so right. Like texting has been around a long, long time, right? Like pre-iPhone and stuff.
yeah,
But it's just now become a really in vogue marketing channel, and it's very, very powerful. It does cut through the clutter. I mean, if you get a text on your phone, you're going to look at that text, right? I get
yeah,
text, I'm going to look at it. So it's going to cut through the clutter. It can be highly personal, but that's a double-edged sword, right? It's also one of those things where if I get a spam email, like whatever, I ignore it, or I've got spam blockers. But I get spam text, I'm kind of upset. Like that, like
yeah,
you. This is very personal. This is like you showing up on my doorstep at dinner
yeah. Don't
time.
show up in my inbox with a shitty
Yeah,
message.
yeah, exactly. So, but so a message like, oh hey, here, save 10%. Well, why are you doing that? Maybe I don't even want to interact with you. But if you say, hey, I saw you're checking out and you didn't, is there anything I can help you with? Like that's a little more personal, likely a better spot to lead with, before just sending a coupon or a discount or
Yeah, it's
something.
those little, yeah, exactly. Keep the coupon for the second SMS abandoned card
Right,
message
yeah,
that
yeah.
you'll have.
Yeah,
And like
after it's
that's your
already
Hail
established that I
Mary.
want to be helpful and stuff like that. Yeah, yeah. Cool. So abandoned cart. What else would you recommend on the SMS front?
Yeah, so I mean, then you can go like pretty. So like the biggest challenge in SMS is growing your list, right?
Mhm.
That's the main
Yeah,
thing, because
of
once you
course.
grow your list, like the abandoned cart, that's the most obvious. Then there are some tools now that are starting to do pretty accurate browse abandonment, a little bit like you can do with your Klaviyo or Omnisend, but through SMS. That being said, it's like you need to have the person already opted in your SMS to like be able to fire this campaign. So it's pretty challenging. to do that. Whereas in the checkout process, they input their phone number, and then like you can have like that opt-in, right? So when you're choosing like your vendor, like find the one that will give you the best chance at growing your list, because that will determine the success of your campaigns. So and then if you can do other flows, but basically the flows are the same that you can do on email, but having the people like opted in is a little bit more complex. So like whatever you do with your Klaviyo, you can at some point replicate in your SMS campaign, and you do it in that order, right? So first like you'll do your campaign abandonment welcome flow as a second one, just like hey, you subscribe, like you're in a welcome flow. And then like after that, browse abandonment and like post purchase, like thank you or whatever. Like those are like kind of the four main ones that usually people will be able to pull off.
Great. Love that. So let's talk a little bit about the post-purchase side of things. What do you recommend there? What are some of the best practices or thought starters on post-purchase? How should you interact with customers post-purchase?
Yeah. So I'm a little bit too much of a proponent of automation. So maybe like I would say like yeah, automate everything you can, but with contextual answers. So
Yes.
if somebody is asking you with like, hey, how can I return this item? Like, is the person within the return window? Like, did they purchase in the last like 40 days? And let's say that's your return window, or are they outside? If they're outside, maybe you want to reply automatically. It's like, hey, I see you purchased on this date. And that's like outside of a return policy. Like, is there something like, I fear like that won't be possible for that item. Is there something else I can help you with? Right, so I'm really a huge proponent of having those messages. Like also like, where's my order? Is the order in transit? Is it delivered, or is it not shipped yet? So those three scenarios will have different emails. Like if it's not shipped, it's like, hey, it's not shipped yet. It's in our warehouse. Like, and then you can even put a timer. Let's say it's less than 3 days and not shipped. Like, sorry, there's just a little bit of backlog now, but then and it's going to be taken care of. Like you're going to get a notice really quickly. But if it's not shipped and it's over 3 days, it's sent to customer service. So it's because there may be something to investigate there, right? Same thing, like where's my order? Is it like less than 7 days and this is your maximum like delivery window? Then if it's less than 7 days and it's shipped, give the tracking number, tracking URL, where it's going automatically. Like, hey, I see your order shipped out on this day. Here's your tracking number, tracking URL. If it's outside of your policy, send to customer service.
Yep.
Right? So to investigate it a little bit. And then like, I'm like right now we're going into Black Friday. So it's, again, like get your offers out. And customer service is a great place to put your offers. So find a way to like modify your canned response, add signatures at scale or something with your Black Friday offers. Because what's going to happen during that period is your customer service inquiries are going to go, in general in the industry, they go up by 80%. So our baseline last Black Friday was 1 million message sent by Gorgeous per day.
Wow.
And that was before Black Friday, and during Black Friday it was 1.8 million. And then we matched, like we checked the data from the previous year, and it's also an 80% difference pre-Black Friday to during Black Friday. During Black Friday. So during Black Friday means people probably didn't purchase yet. So it's a lot of like still pre-sale type of inquiries. So get your offers and your canned responses and stuff like at scale. So and then what you can do, like that's really when you're like kind of achieving the last level of the customer service ladder. If is you can track how much sales your customer service agents are generating. Are they like so are they reminded to put like those offers in and to like help really the customer to complete their purchase? And then we can build like, well, actually all build. So if you're on Shopify or Magento, we can tell you how much sales are generated from your customer service agents in Gorgeous. So then you can incentivize them like, hey, if you're closing more during Black Friday, you know, I'll give you a bonus.
Right.
So,
Yeah. And often just tracking it and being able to see it, that by itself will usually lead to increased performance, right? So your customer service agents being able to see the numbers themselves, see maybe their colleagues' numbers, knowing that
Yep.
you see the numbers, that all by itself should cause a lift, at least from the right people, or maybe cause you to say, yeah, maybe we could do without this customer service representative. And so we'll promote them to their next career outside of our company. But then you can also incentivize and create contests and other things, to really make that go to the next level. And in the benefit of all of that is it leads to better customer experience, and then leads to better brand loyalty and growth, and yes, increased sales right now, but also for the long haul, which is really exciting. And
Yeah.
so, and one thing I want to do, and this, we could have led with this, but I think this is kind of better to step back and now kind of frame it all with this. I want to talk about one more concept, and then I want to dig into Gorgeous, because I want to nerd out a little bit on what you guys do. Let's talk about brand voice just for a minute. So really, your brand voice should infiltrate everything that we do here, right? Because there's just like we talked about, there's a right way to do text message marketing, right? You get a text message from one company and you're super grateful and thankful, and it furthers a relationship. You get what feels like a spammy, cold, impersonal text from another company, and now you're mad. Now it was worse than before you received the message, right? So how do you talk about brand voice, and how do you recommend people use brand voice to influence all of these conversations?
All right, that's a great question, and you're right. That's like kind of the umbrella that like covers a little bit of everything. It's brand voice is when you're creating your company, you should be thinking about that from day one. It's like it's a part of your brand guidelines. Your brand guideline has your logo, the type of font that
Yep.
you should
Your
use,
colors and
your
things like
colors,
that.
the CM, like the Pantones and
Yep.
everything. So, and in there, you should have like a brand voice and tone statement, which is like, how like do we want to sound to our customers, and how do we want to behave toward our customers? Because like, just like you will send your brand guidelines to the agencies that you're working with, your marketing agencies, and so on. Well, you also want to send them like, how do I need to sound as a brand? That's something that like needs to become standardized. It needs to be authentic, but it needs to be standardized across your organization. So, and usually it's really like, it's really about how and who you want to sound like, and then what you are and what you're not. And then from there, all your messages are going to be unified in that voice and tone, right? So for example, like I remember like Shopify's brand voice and tone, and that's available on their website. You can just like Google Shopify brand voice, and you will see a document that they share obviously internally to their staff about how they need to talk to merchants, but also that they most likely share to all the agencies that they're working with and so on. And it reads as like Shopify's voice is a reflection of who we are. We should always sound like Shopify. That's very generic. At the same time, some of our aspects of our personality might be more or less evident depending on the audience and the context. That's the tone. We want our voice to sound like a business mentor with zero ego. So they're there to help. It's the business mentor that's there to help you, and they have
Helpful, knowledgeable, but not arrogant or boastful. Like it's making it about the user and not about Shopify.
Exactly. It's especially not about the mentor on the other side. It's like he's there to help, and he knows how he's going to help you. But it's about you as a business owner that's making all the sacrifices and all the bets on like operating that store. This is like what it's about. It's about like helping you succeed. And then that's the next step. So you just mentioned it, but like then there's like three things that they are and they aren't. Like they're confident, not arrogant. So that's like what one thing that they want to be. They're empathetic, not overprotective. And finally, they're transparent, not blunt. So it's like, so they have those three things. It's probably like every customer support agent, like at the Shopify or the gurus that are like on the chat, like they all have that like stapled to their deck, and they're like, man, you need to be a business mentor with zero ego.
Yeah, I love that. And what's so powerful is, we work a lot on the traffic side of e-commerce, right? So we're helping craft effective, compelling, on-brand YouTube ads, right? And we're crafting search ads and shopping ads and all these things. And so, what happens if someone sees a really well done ad and they think, man, that's speaking to me. And so I'm interested. I want to check out more about this company. And then so they go to a landing page and the landing page speaks to them. Like, it's in the right brand voice, and it's convincing, and it's got all the sales points there. And then they interact with one of your agents, and it's not on brand, right?
Yeah,
Now it's
exactly.
like, well, so that's what it's really like then at this company. Kills the whole thing. So it all needs to work together. I love those brand statements that Shopify has. I'm a huge Shopify fan in general, but super powerful. You need to craft those for your business as well. Share those with your internal team, your outsourced team. Like, they need to uphold that brand voice in all of the conversations, and it makes a big difference. And it's one of those things that I think if you have properly spelled out brand voice components, then it can take someone who would be average or maybe even below average as a customer support person, and it can make them really good, really effective. And without it, you could take someone who would be really good and maybe, lower them down to mediocre with
Yeah, and if
that
you
brand
didn't,
voice.
and same thing for agencies. If you didn't figure this out before you're going to reach out for your agencies, and then you're you're like keeping one, and you're like, well, they didn't get it, right? Did you spell it out for them? Like, is it even
Yeah.
clear in your head what
Yep.
your brand is supposed
It's
to be,
likely
and
your
how do you
fault
want
if
them
they
to
didn't
figure it
get
out?
it.
So, like, yeah, that's like really step number one when you're launching your brand. Or if like, and usually it's like, yes, the owner or the entrepreneur, like, personality, that it's a lot of it. Like, bring it on paper and then like share it to people you're working with. That's definitely a great place to start.
I love it. I love it. Well, Phil, let's talk about Gorgeous, because, executing, pulling off a lot of the things we talked about would either require, you know, piecing together multiple systems or potentially staffing up, which you may want to staff up anyway. But talk about what Gorgeous does and how you tie all of this together and how you make reporting and, dashboards and KPIs clear, and just talk about what you guys do.
For sure. So yeah, Gorgeous, like, today is the number one help desk for e-commerce. So all we specialize in is helping brands manage their customer support, and across all channels. So we discuss them all: email, SMS, Facebook, Instagram, chat. So all of this in one place. And then we match all of those communication to the buyer's profile. So did they like, we match an SMS or a chat automatically without having to identify it to a Shopify profile or a Magento profile. So then this data is available in 1 second to the customer service rep that is interacting with your client. And our role is for each agent to become super agent, as efficient as possible, so that you don't need to staff up infinitely with more agents, and that at some time, like, so that each one is really empowered with the best technology in order to increase their performance by at least 30% compared to where they are today. So yeah, we're making like okay agents very good in no time. And just like, how do we do that? Little things, right? Like, how do you embed? We talk about machine learning already quite a bit on this episode, but like little things like proposing automatically to the agent which response they should give to a client. So if a message comes in and it's like, hey, where is my order? And it's not replied automatically. It's like in the queue for the agent to look at. The agent is looking at it. Like, we're proposing automatically the canned response that is the most relevant to where is my order to that agent right away when he opens the ticket. So he sees all the data of the client on the right side, and then he has like this. It's really hard to describe on a podcast, but
Sure.
then he sees this response that is already made for him, and it's there, and he just has one click, two click, and it's inputted in that conversation. So it's really about giving agents superpower to help customers on all channels. But and then what happens usually is like, you'll be able to work with less agents, but those, like, one of them at least in your team will become a little bit more like an engineer, if you want, or like a technician, and they will start like working the system rather than like just answering tickets all day. And if you invest just a little bit more time in working in the system rather than like trying to power through tickets, like, the exponential gains over time are just really rewarding. And I think that's what a lot of our clients understood now is like, it doesn't have to be just like a redundant task that is like in the back end that doesn't scale well. It can be just like what they do in the marketing in the front end, where like they use the best email tools or the things like that scales really well on the advertisement side, and that can do one to many, and they can replicate those mechanics on the customer service side, and that's what we're helping with.
So giving tools to create super agents out of all of your agents, all your customer service reps, tying this all together. You got some automation in place that you're utilizing, and then and like we talked about with social, where someone can interact and reply to comments inside your platform rather than the unmanageable Facebook ads interface and ads manager. And so then how do you also tie together data and dashboards and revealing KPIs? Because all this stuff does have a return, right? One, you should do it just because it's the right thing to do to provide good customer service, but this is creating a business return as well. Talk a little bit about measurement and dashboards.
Yeah, for sure. There's like the normal traditional KPIs that are tracked like in customer support. So like how fast can you reply? Like how long does it take you to handle an inquiry from the beginning to the end? And what's like the average production, let's say, of a certain agent. So being able to drill down like those like quick first time reply and like time to solve a ticket, that's really where it starts, the basic of it. But then where you compare your benchmark, so a lot of our clients are coming in from other platforms, especially Zendesk, which is a large player in the space. Like they see that first time reply go from like 20 hours to like 2 hours and like a couple of weeks working together. So that's really like the first benchmark of success, is like how fast do you reply to your clients. That also determines when like you're kind of ripped for a live chat and go get those rewards. So really like giving the tools to hit on that KPI is the first mission. And then beyond that, like we want to transform customer support into a profit center and a profit generator. And the main way that we found to track that today was to tie the agents on the tickets to the sales that are driven after that ticket was answered for that customer. So like measuring sales today by the agents is the main way that we find to measure how well a team is driving revenue. Because like imagine how that changed the conversation from your customer service team. That usually is just like, oh man, we're so behind. We have like 10,000 tickets to track and like we're responding in 24 hours. To like coming up is like, oh yeah, like now we're like our team generated like $10,000 last week.
Yep.
Right. So the guy the CEO goes to the CEO, is like, oh yeah, that's cool. Now like we're talking a different type of language. It's like, how do you generate sales for support and transform support into a profit center, which is like one of our core missions. And we found ways to track that, which are pretty innovative.
I love that. Turning customer support into a profit center. And I believe if you get that right and take what could be a so-so or an average experience to a great experience with your customers, then that really makes everything else better. You're going to get more referrals, more word of mouth. Your ads are going to work better. There's going to be better comments on your ads and things like that. Like it's all going to compound and really help improve. So Phil, this has been fantastic. We're up against time a little bit. Really insightful. Really appreciate you taking the time. I'm even more excited now than I was before about conversational commerce and really just encouraging people to do this the right way. And it's worth the investment. It's worth doing. But I would argue that you probably do need a tool like Gorgias. And so if someone's listening and they want to check out more about Gorgias, how can they go about doing that? And do you guys have demos, trials, resources?
Yeah, absolutely.
What should they do?
Yeah, they can just mention if ever they want to trial us, they can just mention the podcast, and we will provide them with a second month free for their account.
Awesome.
And so we'll special offer. Also, we'll put a link in the description here that will provide you with that offer right off the bat if you click on it.
Awesome.
And yeah, check out gorgias.com. It's and hit me up, Phil at gorgias.com, if you have any question. I'm happy to help you enable your DTC brand with conversational commerce.
Awesome. Phil, thank you so much, man. Appreciate the time. Thanks for bringing your wisdom and your passion. Much appreciated.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And as always, thank you. Thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for tuning in. We'd love to hear more from you. What would you like to hear more of, less of on the podcast? We would love to shape the show and mold it to make you happy and to make sure that this is useful. Do recommend you check out Gorgeous. You can check all the show notes at omgcommerce.com. Look at the podcast there. We'll have all the links here. And with that, until next time, thank you for listening.